What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome here on a beautiful Sunday morning. Let's talk some football. Actually, Jeb Bush is in the house. Sneeps is in the house. What's up? What is up, everybody? Have I ever eaten at a Sheets? No, I didn't even know Sheets was a restaurant. It feels like I need to get a franchise going there. Jeb says thoughts on weather for Bills and Washington games and Ravens versus Colts. I'll let you know my thoughts, and it's from the people that are smarter than me about weather. Let's look it up. So one of the good resources that I like to go to is Hilo from 1 Week Season. He is actually a former pilot, so he's got some. Here, let me share my screen here. He's got some aviation type stuff that he gets into, and he gets some aviation data or whatever you want to call it. And so here's his notes for the games today. Basically, nothing to worry about in Colts and Ravens, nothing to worry about in Titans at Browns, nothing to worry about in Saints at Packers. Same thing with Texans at Jags. Broncos at Dolphins, he said winds are light, chance of heavy rain via thunderstorms. It's also hot and humid, which has influenced player availability in the past. So something to think about there. Going to be a pretty miserable day in Florida, it sounds like. Um, Patriots at Jets. This is the game most impacted by weather and is not pretty. Winds at kick are expected to be 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 32. Expecting missed rain showers throughout, and it's got the lowest total on the slate. And then Bills at Commanders. Winds at kick from north to northwest, 9 miles per hour. Chance at mist. Likely dry out as the game goes on. So I think, technically speaking, everything's looking pretty good. Besides Patriots at Jets is kind of how I would play that one, and I don't think many people were playing it there anyways. Yeah, smash the Zach Wilson unders, as Jeb says. That seems like an easy one. Okay, so let's dive into the sheets for the Battle Royale section here. And we'll just kind of go position by position, and then we will rip a few drafts, and then we'll get out of here and get on with our Sunday. So this week I think is actually really interesting in the Battle Royale streets. I think we'll talk about quarterback for a little bit, but then within the three different position groups, there's some pretty clear tiers. And I think figuring out how to leverage those positions is really important. Now, I will say the big contest is already full for Battle Royale. It was a $5 and it had like 70,000 people in it. That one's filled up, but then they introduced a mini Royale this morning or late last night, I think, which is only 11,000 entrants and still has 100K in prizes. $10 entry for that one. And then they've got a couple other ancillary ones going to. Actually, it looks like they just have a $25 one right now, and then obviously the Miami qualifier also. So, yeah, basically, when you're going to be shooting for the $10 one this morning, if you're going to be drafting teams, you don't need to go too off the board. There's only 10,000 people in that one, 11,000 people in that one. So, anyways, quarterback. Really, Patrick Mahomes kind of separates a bit. This is simulation numbers over here on the side. This is kind of their floor, ceiling, stuff like that. So Mahomes really separates a little bit from the group. So I think he makes sense in the first round, into the first round, early second round. The rest of the guys, I'm not really too sure if it's super key on trying to jam them in. I think Josh Allen is slipping to like the fourth round, which seems pretty good. Oh, Zakarian is on. He is live from wherever the hell he's at, Ireland, listening in. So, um, yeah, so I think Josh Allen's in the fourth round is kind of interesting. I mean, maybe people are getting scared off by that game, like Jeb was saying, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that Josh has fallen to the fourth. And then Lamar and Herbert usually go around there too, and then the rest of the guys at the end. This is kind of my pretty condensed QB pool this week. Um, Honestly, I don't think there's a whole lot of huge takeaways from it. Whenever you can get Mahomes with Kelsey, that's awesome. Whenever you can get Allen with Diggs, I think that's awesome. Just be careful on Herbert and Cousins. Both of those games are going to be pretty high. A lot of people are focusing on that game, the Chargers and Vikings game. And so I would say if you are shooting to play one of those quarterbacks, think that everybody else is going to be playing with the wide receivers, and so maybe just take one of the receivers or take an opposing running back, or maybe pair that quarterback with the running back, something crazy. That game's going to be a lot of points, and so there could be multiple ways that they get there. Um, and then I do like Dak a lot this week. I'm trying to get a little bit more of him. I've got about 7% right now, but I'm trying to get some more. I think he's pretty fun against the Cardinals, and he's should be hitting up CeeDee Lamb quite a bit. And then Trevor Lawrence, I think, is in a pretty good spot against the Texans. It seems like I've always been getting kind of a Jaguar in these drafts, whether it's ETN, Ridley, Trevor Lawrence, or even have been going with Christian Kirk as well. So yeah, nothing too crazy at quarterback. I don't really think you have to go too far off the board, especially because how cheap Allen, Lamar, Herbert, all these guys are. So pretty much outside of Mahomes, everybody else is pretty. So we'll run down to running back, and this is where the positional scarcity stuff starts to really kind of rearing its head. So Tony Pollard, you can see here, this is like the simulation numbers. Tony Pollard, 33 on the ceiling outcome. Um, Quite a bit ahead of the group here. Miles Sanders kind of randomly popping up on this run of the Sims too, which is interesting. Seahawks defense isn't that good, but um, after that, you got a pretty big tier break between Henry, Etienne, Bijan, and then I would include Kenneth Walker up in that tier also, and then I think another tier break there between Madison, Stevenson, Sanders, Mostert, Kelly, some of those guys. I'm gonna actually sort this a little bit differently here. Bear with me. Sorted by the projection here for. All right, cool. So yeah. Anyways, I think that Pollard is a really no-brainer first rounder, and then sneak in Bijan, ETN. Oh, I know what I should be doing. I should be sorting by ADP. Hey, it's early. I'm doing this solo. Usually Mike's, really helping to vamp run things. All right, here we go. Starting by ADP. So Pollard makes a lot of sense in the first round. And then kind of I really like Bijan in the first as well, if you can get him. I think across the board on DraftKings as well. I think Bijan's a really good play. He's gonna get pretty overlooked on DraftKings. So I think he's a pretty good play. And then I like pushing up ETN and Kenneth Walker into the into the third round and trying to get those guys quite a bit. And then, there's always the Derrick Henry potential for a blow up game. Browns are a pretty good defense. Derrick Henry hasn't shown it yet this year, but you've always got to take some shots on the big dog. And then from there, the tier kind of breaks off a bit. And I think this is where it is ability to scroll down a little bit makes some sense. People seem to be shying away from Kelly and Madison because of that game environment. It's supposed to be a shootout. Everybody likes the pass catchers, so I don't mind taking some shots at Kelly and Madison. I've been trying to get a little bit of them. I really like Ramondre. Even though that game could be a little bit of a shit show, I think Ramondre's got some pretty good usage so far to start the year. So I like him a lot. I don't really love James Cook that much. He's been getting steamed up a little bit, and I don't love him there. I do think getting a little bit of action on Miles Sanders makes some sense. And then could just because he seems to be popping in these sims a little bit. And again, the Seahawks defense isn't the greatest. So yeah, so I think that makes a lot of sense. And then from there, yeah, I mean, you can get crazy. You can get down here with Gus Edwards, James Conner, Isaiah Pacheco, stuff like that. But I think I mean, it just seems like the guys at the top are going to be pretty good. So getting a lot of combos of them. So tight end's a really interesting one this week, and I think this is the first spot to focus on how you should try to get leverage within your draft. So Travis Kelsey obviously is going to always project as the best tight end of the week, and then we've also got Hawk and Mark Andrews up at the top this week, and so that's a pretty clear tier of those three plus everyone else, and I'm not too sure. If the rest of these guys really are going to be able to match Kelsey, Hawk, and Andrews' output. And so you kind of got to play it. I think a lot of the way that you should draft should be based off of the tight end position, right? And so if you get Kelsey, then you're betting on obviously him having a good game, but you're also betting on him outscoring Hawk and Andrews pretty well, pretty significantly. That way he can separate himself. And so if you drafted Kelsey, then I think it makes sense to try to grab a Viking or to try to grab an Andrews as well. If obviously pairing with Mahomes is preferred, but then if you don't get Mahomes and you can get Kelsey with like Alexander Madison or with Jordan Addison and Kirk Cousins, I think makes sense. And then Kelsey with like, Lamar and Zay Flowers. Can't really uh, yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm not really going to Gus. I know some people probably are, but so really leveraging like if you're, and then vice versa for all those guys, right? So if you get Hawk, try to pair him with Patrick Mahomes, and maybe I don't know, Kadarius Tony or Sky Moore or something like that. And then, same thing throughout. If you get like one of my favorite starts that I've been doing a lot is Justin Jefferson start and then come and grabbing Mark Andrews at the 1-2 turn, because then you're leveraging off Hawkinson with Justin Jefferson out of the first seed. So I think thinking through that is really important. And then also like if you're missing out on those guys, then I'd really want to either like because the thing with like these guys is more than likely the offenses aren't just going to completely fail. Like the Chiefs are going to beat the Bears by quite a bit, I'm sure. The Vikings Chargers game is going to be a blowout. The Ravens are going to score some points this week, and so most likely these offenses aren't just going to fail, and so then it's figuring out how to leverage. And so same kind of thing goes. That's why I just think it's a little bit dicier fully fading these top tight ends, because I'm not sure all these punt guys can keep up. But from the punts that are down there, I do like Sam Laporta a lot this week, and I do like Njoku a bit, and I do like Luke Musgrave. Those are be my guys, and then last but not least is the wide receiver group. So again, a pretty strong duo at the top with Jefferson and Hill. That's pretty easy to figure out. But then from there, it's a pretty wide band of a similar range of outcomes. So, Justin Jefferson. So similar things to kind of think through with Jefferson and Hill, right? So if you draft Jefferson, like it makes a lot of sense to take a Raheem Mostert. I was taking a ton of Waddle earlier in the week before he was ruled out. Now that's going to just get swapped around into things. But trying to, if you're saying, hey, Jefferson or Hill is going to be the highest score of the week, they're going to score a ton of points at the wide receiver position. And in order for one of them to separate, if you take it, is means the other one kind of fails, right? And so then being able to leverage off of it, right? So Hill, same thing, taking Hill with Madison or Addison or Hawkinson, taking Jefferson with Mostert. That's kind of it this week. I mean, Durham Smythe, I don't really view as leverage off of Tyreek Hill. He's gonna, maybe catch some passes and a touchdown or two, but I wouldn't say that's extreme leverage. And then with no Waddle there, like it's pretty much just Mostert would be the main leverage there. So, anyways, I like a lot of those pairings as well. Amon-Ra is an interesting guy. I've seen some reports that he doesn't have the greatest matchup this week. I forget, there's the matchup bros on Twitter that are too high versus zone versus single coverage versus whatever. Apparently, Amon-Ra isn't supposed to have a good matchup, so I'm not too bad being underweight on him, especially because he's got the turf toe as well. But have seen a lot of people banging the table for Amon-Ra for sure. And then let's see who else. I like Mike Williams a lot. Um, as usual, this tier of receivers by ADP that are in like the fourth and fifth round, I'm pretty much off of. And I think that's been pretty consistent throughout the season so far. And if you look at it, it's a lot of the guys that had big weeks last week and are just kind of steamed up this week. Like Nico Collins just doesn't make a lot of sense to be going at ADP of 27. Yeah, sure, he could have a good game against the Jaguars, but he should be a 36, 35, 34 ADP guy. Same kind of thing with Jordan Addison. He's picking up some speed. He's playing a little bit better as the season goes on. But he is, just that secondary piece for the Vikings. And I just feel like he's, kind of been getting steamed up just because of that game environment. If he goes off, I'll be wrong there and not doing too hot. And then Zay Flowers, kind of similar. I'm only picking and grabbing him when it's in the right leverage spot. And then Chris Olave just kind of never looks good on my sheets. I'm not sure why, really. I think it may just have to do with he never really produced that well last year. So his historical stuff doesn't look too well. But yeah, I'll be underweight on Olave again. And then some of the down the page throws that I prefer. I like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think both of those guys are fine. Carolina Panthers don't have the greatest defense ever. I do like Michael Pittman a lot. I think that game with the Ravens is going to be pretty back and forth. And at a minimum, if the Ravens are scoring a lot, then Minshew and Pittman are going to be trying to claw their way back. So I think Pittman could do pretty well. I like pairing Gabe Davis with Josh Allen when you can, and then I think Jerry Judy is a little bit of a sneaky play as well this week. As is Christian Kirk. I think he's with Zay Jones being ruled out. I think Christian Kirk is starting to make a lot of sense. You can see in the latest simulation he's popping up here in the sim with a 25-point ceiling. So I think that's good stuff there. Okay, that kind of runs through the sheets. So I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna rip some drafts, baby. I might try to multi-table here just to get things a little bit more fun this morning. We got 50 minutes left to lock, so might as well rip a few of these. Um, let me see. Let me get things set up here. But yeah, if you guys are watching, if you got questions, if you want to figure out what the hell's going on, let me know. I'll try to get to them while I get some drafts set up here. Wow. Claude says fading Olave again with Jair injured. Yeah, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. I know Jair is injured. Is he out? I didn't see if he was ruled out or not. I know Schefter just dropped a bunch of inactives. Let's scroll through these, see if we've got anything worth um, looking at. I know I did see that Aaron Jones is out and Christian Watson's out again, so sucks for the Packers. Anthony Richardson inactive, as we knew. Ravens inactive, OBJ and Justice Hill. So that should be a much more condensed offense today, which I think is good. Um, Falcons inactive, Cordell Patterson. That's been kind of a common theme. Zay Jones is inactive. That's been a common one. Jalen Waddle, obviously, we know that. Officially active, Amon Ra, Josh Reynolds, and DeAndre Hopkins. Officially inactive, Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Bakhtiari, Jair Alexander. Okay. Yeah, so Packers don't have their four best players, so that's awesome. Packers are gonna lose for sure. Okay, I should probably have some more. Okay, shit. I forgot I entered a bunch of drafts. Let's share screen. Share entire screen. Boom. And we are on the clock in a couple of these. So Tyreek Hill, we'll just take here at the 2. That's pretty easy. This one we're on the clock at the 4 spot. We'll take Tony Pollard. That's pretty easy as well. And then looks like we're coming up in the 3 spot here. Oh shit. Forgot I can't do that. Sorry, people. We don't have a producer today, so just trying to get this going by myself. One pick away here, 3 spot with Travis Kelce. All right, this is fun. We got 3 different starts here on all these drafts. So this one's coming up next. We started with Pollard. Nothing too crazy there. I do want to get some action on these tight ends. So I think we'll see. I mean, Pollard, nothing too crazy from a needing to find leverage standpoint. He did take Keenan Allen, who I was thinking about. So I think we're just going to go with Hawk here and just get a tight end going and kind of see what comes up. In this next one, we've got started with Tyreek Hill. So I'm just going to star. I know this is risky doing the multi-table. But we start with Hill, so I'm going to star some Minnesota stuff just because we want to get leverage off of Jefferson if we start with Hill. And then looks like we're coming up onto the clock here. So Hawk could be another really good pick here for us. Yeah, and he's already got a tight end, so I think this should be pretty live action. So I'll take off Madison and Addison now. And we'll just grab Hawk here as well. And then we're one pick away here on the team. We start with Kelsey. Mahomes is already gone, went at the 4. Yikes. So then with Kelsey, I like Etienne a lot. I think Etienne's going to have a huge week against the Texans. So, yeah, good start there. All right. Coming back to this team that's got Hill and Hawkinson. So Amon-Ra's there. We just talked about how I don't like him that much. Olave's still down there. I am nervous about my Olave exposure now. Um, we could take a running back too. Let's just grab a Ken Walker here and get a running back taken care of. All right, first team's got Pollard and Hawk, and then we've got. I'm showing all the running backs are still the best values, and ETN's still there, so we got to take ETN. So now we got Pollard, ETN, and Hawkinson on that one. So that's a fun squad. Um, and then we're coming back around here with the Kelsey, ETN team. Looks like Amon-Ra is gonna potentially be there, or it's gonna be another running back. These are my rankings, so don't really replicate ADP, but that's how I want to kind of be drafting teams. So see who Beretta James takes. Looks like he's already got two wide receivers, so I doubt he takes Amon-Ra. So that could be pretty fun. We could get. Oh, he did take Amon-Ra. Sweet. All right, we're just gonna switch it up then and go Gibbs on this one instead of Kenneth Walker, just to give us a little bit more differentiation. All right, coming back around here, so we've got two running backs on this team already. We need a quarterback receiver. So receivers are now. Let's see. So we got Kirk. We already got that. Indy, Seattle, Cleveland. Let's see what we got for quarterback here. Cousins. Let's take Cousins. Just pair him up with Hawk. And then we'll just finish it off with wide receiver in this one. This team, Ken Walker, Tyreek Hill, and TJ Hawkinson. So Tua is a potential there. Uh, Otherwise, we can look at some of the running backs. Don't love pairing Mostert with Hill. I don't know. That may be stupid, but I just don't know if they can both have the ceiling games you need to win it. But maybe with Waddle out, they could. I'm actually talking myself into that a little bit more as we sit here. I also don't hate a Josh Allen pick here in the fourth round if we can just snag Gabe Davis later. Seems like I'm not too sure why Josh Allen keeps falling in these drafts. So I might take Allen here if he falls. We'll star him up. Otherwise, I could definitely, yeah, we're taking Allen. Here we go. All right, I like that. So then we'll have to make sure we grab Davis. I'll just star him up so we don't forget about him. Okay, we're getting in the fun part of the drafts now. As the Badge Bros would say, scroll the F down. So we've got draft number 3 going hot and heavy here. ETN, Gibbs, and Kelsey. So it is, wide receiver or quarterback time. Don't love that. Oh, we're on the clock over here. Okay, we got a couple things going on. Let's get some receivers. Um, we're just gonna take DK Metcalf in this one. We're gonna take Gabe Davis in this one just to knock that out of the way. And then we do need a receiver in this one. Christian Kirk. Should we just bet on Jacksonville? Let's just bet on a big Jacksonville game in this one, and then we'll also try to take Trevor Lawrence here. Um, So that makes sense. So we've got ETN, Gibbs, Christian Kirk, and Kelsey. And then we're going to try to take Trevor Lawrence, and then we're just going to scroll down a bit at wide receiver. In the first one, this one's almost closed out here. We've got Cousins and TJ Hawkinson. And then we've got Pollard and ETN, really strong running back room. And then we've got DK Metcalf at receiver. And so now we'll probably do some scrollage here. I I actually like Michael Pittman quite a bit. We could really scroll into the like Terry McLaurin, Josh Dotson range. Jerry Judy, I kind of like a little bit more in Miami game scripts. So we'll just take Pittman. It's not a mega scroll down type of thing by any means, but that's a fun group. So Cousins, Pollard, ETN, Metcalf, Pittman, Hawk. That that team's done. Next team, looks like this one's going to finish up first. So we've got ETN, Gibbs, Kirk, and Kelsey. So this one we're going to want to take Trevor Lawrence right here, so we can really load up on the Jacksonville onslaught, which I don't think is a bad approach today. I think that's kind of a fun way to play things. So Beretta James plays like every sport, max enters everything, and auto drafts a ton. So he is gonna milk that clock all the way down to zero. So we'll finish up this team here. Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, that's a good pairing, and then Tyreek and TJ Hawk, I like that a lot, and then Kenneth Walker at running back. And so I don't really like Madison. I've been talking about Miles Sanders, so why don't we just snag him here? And that's a little bit of correlation with Ken Walker. So maybe it's just Sanders versus Walker, just battling long touchdowns. Final team here: Allen, Walker, Sanders, Hill, Davis, Hawk. I like that a lot. And then here we go. We got Trevor Lawrence here. So this team's looking at Lawrence, Etienne, Gibbs, Kirk, and Kelsey. And so that's just betting on a big Jacksonville game, but no Ridley, which kind of feels a little shitty, but that's okay. We don't really have a huge like wide receiver squad here that could capitalize on a big no Ridley game. So we're definitely gonna need another receiver here. We've still got Metcalf available. I'm not exactly sure why the Seahawks guys are not being drafted this week. It just seems a little bit off to me. I'm just gonna check my. Got a little bit less Metcalf than Lockett, so we'll try to get Metcalf. If not, we'll grab Lockett here and call it a day. All right. Well, that was a ton of fun. Um, that was great. That was great. I think three at once is the way to go. I think three at once is the way to go. Uh, Jeb thinks the teams are juicy. Anybody else got any questions? Got any action? I think this is a pretty hot 30 minutes. Um, not a whole lot left. Jeb's got a Seahawks stack he's optimistic about. Yeah. I mean, both you can get both the Seahawks at the end. You can get Geno at the end. Like I mean, Geno double stacks have gone there before with Metcalf and Lockett. Like, I don't understand why none of them are really getting drafted. But we finished that team off with Metcalf, so that's a good one. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up, people. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you giving me something to just spout off my hot takes to in the morning and fire off a couple teams that I would have been doing anyways. And yeah, we'll see y'all next week. I think next week I may be solo again. I think next week Mike's still in Ireland, and then we'll be back the full squad and week 5, I guess. So cheers, everybody. Good luck today. Finish at the top of those leaderboards. Deuces.